I want to ask you to do something before we start. I want you to think about your life right now, your actual daily life, and ask yourself honestly, what can you do today that you could not do without help 5 years ago? And then ask the harder question, what could you do 5 years ago that you cannot do as easily today? Most people do not map this journey. They live it moment by moment, adapting as each change arrives, explaining each small loss as a separate event rather than seeing it as part of a direction. I am 87 years old. I have watched this journey in myself, in my husband, in my closest friends, long enough to see that it has stages, recognizable, consistent, predictable stages. Not everyone moves through all of them. Some people stay at level 3 or level 4 their entire later lives. Some move quickly from level 5 to level 8 after a single event. But the stages exist, and knowing where you are, seeing your actual position on this map rather than the position you prefer to believe you occupy, is the most important thing you can do for your future. Because every stage before level 7 has an exit ramp. I am going to show you every level, what it looks like, what it feels like from the inside, and for every level that still has one, what the exit ramp is. Find yourself on this map, and then decide what to do about it. Nobody gave me this map. I built it from watching my mother move from level 2 to level 9 over 12 years, watching my husband's brother arrive at level 8 in 18 months after a stroke, watching my neighbor Helen hold steady at level 3 until she was 91, watching my friend Dorothy reverse from level 5 back to level 3 through deliberate, sustained effort at age 78. Dorothy is the reason I believe the exit ramps are real. She had been gradually losing independence, driving less, going out less, relying more. She was 78 and heading somewhere that did not require active decision-making to arrive at. Then something shifted. She joined a Tai Chi class. She started cooking properly again. She called people instead of waiting to be called. She began deliberately, effortfully, without drama, moving in the other direction. 2 years later, she was doing things she had not done at 76. The map goes in both directions. That is the most important thing I can tell you before we begin. Level 1, fully independent, everything on your own terms. At level 1, you drive wherever you need to go. You manage your own finances, your own home, your own medical care. You cook, you clean, you make every decision about your own life without consulting anyone. You go to sleep at whatever time you choose and wake up to a day that belongs entirely to you. Most people at level 1 do not think about independence at all. It is so total that it is invisible, like air. If you are at level 1 right now, if this description is accurate, the most important thing I can say to you is this. The habits you build at level 1 determine how long you stay here and how far you fall if you leave. Level 1 is not a permanent state. It is a position you can hold for a very long time, or lose quickly, depending entirely on what you do with it. The exit ramp from level 1 goes in one direction, maintaining every habit that brought you here. Movement, connection, mental engagement, sleep, nutrition, medical awareness. The people who stay at level 1 longest are not the lucky ones. They are the deliberate ones. Level 2, independent with small accommodations. You've stopped noticing. Level 2 is the level most people are at without knowing it. Everything is still mostly yours, but quietly, over time, Small accommodations have been made. You park closer than you used to. You take the lift when the stairs are perfectly available. You have stopped going to one or two things you used to attend because the timing is awkward or the effort has grown. You have a handrail you use now that you didn't use before. None of these changes feel significant. Each one is entirely reasonable. What makes level 2 important is not the accommodations themselves. It is the direction they indicate. My friend Patricia lived at level 2 for 6 years without recognizing it. She thought of herself as fully independent because she could do everything she needed to do. What she did not notice was the gradual narrowing of what she attempted. Level 2 has a strong exit ramp. It requires only one thing: noticing. Notice what you have stopped doing. Notice what you have made easier instead of maintaining. Ask yourself whether the accommodation is protecting a genuine limitation or whether it is creating one. Then push back, not recklessly, deliberately. The stairs you have been avoiding, take them. The outing you have been declining, go. The thing you have been meaning to do but haven't, do it this week. Level 2 is entirely reversible, but only if you catch it. Level 3, independent with conscious strategies. At level 3, you are still fully in charge of your life, but managing that independence now requires conscious effort that it did not require before. You plan your days around your energy. You schedule the demanding things for your best hours. You have strategies for the things that have become harder: grab bars installed, a reacher in the kitchen, a walking stick for uneven ground that you do not always need but carry anyway. Level 3 is not failure. Level 3 is intelligence. The people who navigate level 3 well, who install the grab bars before they need them, who adopt the strategies before the crisis, tend to hold this level for a very long time. The people who resist level 3, who refuse to accommodate because accommodation feels like admission, tend to bypass it entirely. They go from level 2 directly to level 5 after a fall or a health event. My neighbor Helen lived at level 3 from age 80 to age 91. She used a walking stick she called her companion. She had grab bars throughout her home. She planned her days with the precision of an air traffic controller. She was not at level 3 despite being intelligent. She was at level 3 because she was. The exit ramp from level 3 is the same as level 2, noticing and choosing the harder path when the easier one is available. But it also requires something new: acceptance. Accepting that the strategies are not temporary measures until things return to normal. They are the new normal, and the new normal can be very good. Level 4, independent, but vulnerability is now part of the equation. At level 4, a new factor has entered the picture. You are still living independently. You are still managing your own life, but you are aware in a way that was not present before, that your independence is contingent, that there are conditions under which it could change quickly. You think about what would happen if you fell. You are more careful getting up at night. You carry your phone in your pocket rather than leaving it on the counter. You have told someone where you will be when you go somewhere alone. This awareness is not paranoia. It is appropriate. What level 4 requires, what distinguishes the people who hold it well from those who slide through it, is that the awareness leads to action rather than anxiety. Anxiety at level 4 increases fall risk by making you tense and hesitant. Action at level 4, modifying the home, building balance and strength, establishing communication systems with people who would notice if something was wrong reduces it. My husband spent 2 years at level 4 in a state of anxiety that I could not reach. He was frightened of what might happen. That fear made him more cautious, more withdrawn, less active. By the time he fell, his muscles had weakened significantly from the reduced activity that his fear had produced. The thing he was afraid of, his fear helped create. Level 4 demands courage. The courage to take the situation seriously enough to act, and then to live fully within the life you have, rather than bracing constantly for the life you are afraid of. Level 5, independent in the big things, dependent in some small ones. Level 5 is where the landscape visibly changes. You still live in your own home. You still make your own decisions. But there are now specific tasks, regular, recurring tasks that you receive help with. Someone drives you to medical appointments. Someone handles aspects of your finances. Someone comes to help with housework that has become genuinely difficult to manage alone. The critical question at level 5 is this: is the help supporting your independence or replacing it? Help that supports independence says, I will drive you to the appointment, and while we're there, you will speak to the doctor yourself, ask your own questions, make your own decisions. Help that replaces independence says, I will handle this for you. Don't worry about it. The difference sounds subtle. Over months and years, it is the difference between staying at level 5 and moving to level 6, 7, and beyond. My friend Raymond received help at level 5 that replaced rather than supported. His son handled his finances, his appointments, his home maintenance. Raymond was grateful. He was also very slowly becoming a passenger in his own life. At level 5, be specific about what help you need and what help you do not. Receive the driving. Keep the conversation with the doctor. Accept the cleaning. Keep the cooking. Let someone carry the heavy bags. Keep deciding where you are going. The exit ramp from level 5 exists, but it requires actively rebuilding what has been given away, which is harder than it was to give away in the first place. Level 6. Daily life requires regular assistance. At level 6, assistance is no longer occasional. It is part of the daily structure of life. Someone comes every day, or nearly every day. Meals are partially or fully prepared by someone else. Personal care, bathing, dressing, medication management involves another person routinely. This is not the end of independence, but it is the level at which independence must be actively, consciously protected, because the environment now has a natural drift toward doing more and more for you. The people who hold their ground at level 6 are the ones who remain specific about what they need and what they do not, who insist on doing the things they can still do, even when it would be faster or easier for the person helping them to do it instead. My mother reached level 6 at 77. Her caregivers were kind and efficient. They were also, in their kindness, doing things my mother could still do herself, because it was faster, because it prevented frustration, because it was simply easier for everyone in the short term. In the long term, every task that was done for my mother instead of with her was a small withdrawal from the account of her capability. By the time she was 80, the account was very low. At level 6, inefficiency is medicine. The slower, more effortful version of getting dressed yourself is worth infinitely more than the faster version of being dressed by someone else. Fight for the inefficiency. It is keeping you here. Level 7. The tipping point. Level 7 is where the map becomes hardest to read clearly and where it matters most. At level 7, you are living in your own home, or possibly with family. But the balance between what you contribute to your own care and what others contribute has shifted. Others are doing more than half. The question at level 7 is not whether you need help. The answer is clearly yes. The question is whether the people around you, and whether you yourself, still understand that the goal of help is to maintain what remains, not simply to manage what has been lost. Level 7 is the tipping point, because it is the level at which conversations about the next step most often begin. Families start looking at facilities. Doctors begin discussing options. The system around a person at level 7 begins orienting toward a transition. These conversations are not wrong. Sometimes a transition is what is needed and what is right, but sometimes level 7 is reversible. Sometimes a person at level 7, given the right support, the right intervention, the right environment, can move back to level 5 or 6. My friend Dorothy did this from level 5. I have seen it happen from level 7, though it is harder. The exit ramp from level 7 requires two things simultaneously: honest assessment of what has genuinely and irreversibly changed, and fierce protection of everything that has not. Level 8. Living has become the primary focus of caregiving. At level 8, the center of gravity has shifted. Where previously you were a person who happened to need some assistance, at level 8, the assistance itself has become the organizing principle of the day. The schedule exists around your care needs. The people around you are primarily oriented toward keeping you safe and comfortable. This is not without dignity. It is not without meaning. But it requires something specific to remain a full human life rather than a managed one. It requires that the people providing care, whether family or professionals, continue to see the person behind the care needs, continue to ask what you want, continue to involve you in decisions about your own life, continue to bring you news of the world and expect your responses and your opinions. The greatest risk at level 8 is not physical. It is the risk of being reduced slowly through accumulated small moments of being managed rather than known, to a care recipient rather than a person. My mother's best caregiver at level 8 was a woman named Agnes, who always knocked before entering, always asked before touching, and always spent 5 minutes at the end of every visit telling my mother something she had seen or heard that day and waiting for a response. Agnes understood that she was not caring for a body. She was caring for a person who happened to be mostly in a body right now. That distinction is everything at level 8. Level 9. The final chapter of independence. At level 9, the physical requirements of care are substantial. Mobility is severely limited. Communication may be affected. The body requires attention that only trained care can provide. And yet, I have sat with people at level 9 who were more fully themselves than people I know at level 3. Because independence, at its deepest level, is not about what you can do. It is about whether you are still the subject of your own life, still the person whose preferences matter, whose history is known, whose presence is felt by the people around them. At level 9, this requires advocacy. It requires family members or loved ones who insist on the human being behind the care needs, who tell staff about who this person was and is, who bring music that was loved, photographs that hold meaning, conversations that treat the person as present even when presence is uncertain. My mother spent her last 2 years at level 9, in her best moments, and there were best moments even then. She was still entirely herself, recognizable, opinionated, occasionally funny in the way she had always been funny. She was still there. She needed us to keep saying so. Level 10, the end. I will say only this about level 10. The quality of a life's ending is not determined by what happens at level 10. It is determined by the entirety of what came before it. The love that was given and received, the life that was built, the person that was maintained and honored across every level of the journey. A person who arrives at level 10, having been fully themselves through every preceding stage, having been known, having been heard, having been treated as the author of their own story for as long as that was possible, that person arrives at an ending that is consistent with everything they were. That is not a small thing. That is, in fact, everything. Closing 10 levels. A map that nobody handed me and that I had to build from watching the people I loved move through their later years. I built it so that you could find yourself on it. Not the level you hope you are at, the level you actually are at today if you are honest. Because knowing where you are is the only way to use the exit ramps that are still available to you. And because knowing what comes next, really knowing it, not as an abstraction, but as a specific and navigable territory, means that when you get there, you will not be lost. You will be somewhere you have already seen, somewhere you have already decided how to be. I am 87 years old. I am at level 3. I have been at level 3 for 4 years. I intend to stay here as long as I possibly can. And when I move, if I move, I will know where I am going. That knowledge is not nothing. That knowledge is the whole point. I'll see you in the next one.